Hi everyone, we're here at the home of Michal Barkai Brody in Beit Academy in Jerusalem. We're so happy that she's hosting us here, Lyana and I, and Lyana's going to interview her a little bit about her social entrepreneurship. Take it over, Lyana. Thank you.
Hi Michal, we're so happy to be here with you today. Could you maybe start by just sharing with us a little bit your personal story, what brought you to where you are today as a social entrepreneur?
So I like to see myself as a serial FEMtrepreneur because all my entrepreneurship works for women and with other women, because my biggest power, my biggest fire burning within my Jewish neshama is how to change the world for other women. A few years ago, I can't say a few years ago, it's actually 20 years ago, I was a commander and an officer in the Israeli army. And that was the first time I actually understood that there are so many gaps in Israeli society. So I decided to use that fire to start the first Pre Army Academy for women's leadership called Alma, with the support of the Jewish Agency for Israel, and many other supporters around the world, and especially around the United States Jewish Federations. We started Alma in order to support young women from the socioeconomic periphery of Israel to dream big and to chase their dreams. And what we do is that we work with them in order to make them serve in the most meaningful positions in the Israeli army. So girls who were supposed to serve as coffee makers and bamba saleswomen become commanders and officers and fighters and everything a woman can dream of in the Israeli army. And in Israel, that's the big equalizer. Once they achieved the most meaningful service, they can dream big and they can become whatever they want to. And after Alma, I actually started the Jerusalem Center for Women's Leadership, which is a partnership of Naamat, the Jerusalem municipality, and the Jewish Agency for Israel. Later on, I started my own business called Leap. What we do is that we work with big organizations in order to help them promote their organization by promoting women. And that's something every organization has to do. That's the secret for success. And I'm also a speaker, a public speaker in Israel and all over the world.
Michal, that's amazing. In order to do all of what you do, you have to identify first some sort of burning fire in you, but then you also have to see how it manifests in other women as well, or other people that you work with, so that you can bring them on board. How is it that you do that?
I think that it's like a compass, I always like to call it, Michal's compass, that what you need to be asking yourself 5 questions. The first one is, what is that fire burning within me? What is it in the world that I can't sleep at night when I think of it, other than my husband, of course. And so the first thing is what's the fire? What makes you feel alive? When I always see you with the groups you work with. You are alive when you have other people with you, listening to you, sharing your stories. So I'm always asking, what makes you feel alive? What's the fire burning within your soul? The second question is, what is the need in the world? Does your fire serve a higher purpose in the world? Does it really serve a need? The 3 other questions is, what are you really good at? And what are your pluses? What are your minuses? And when do you see yourself do something meaningful without your minuses disturbing you? The last question that I always ask is, what is the price that you're willing to pay? Because there are prices. I can say that when I started Alma, I put my entire life savings in it in order to make it a reality. That was the price I could pay. But later on, when I started paying higher prices with my health and with things that happened in my life, I said, this is my limit. And I think that Israelis are people that are limitless. I mean, we are all entrepreneurs. And it's hard for us to set the limit for our dreams because we feel that our dreams are always bigger than anything else. But we also need to keep ourselves alive and well in order to keep dreaming and make our dreams bigger.
That's amazing. So to be able to find people who are burning like you also have to identify what the needs are. And Israel and the world always have ongoing social needs. So if you were to look from now moving forward, now that you have your own business and you have these couple of initiatives behind you, what are the next burning social needs that you feel you would need to address in the next phase of your social entrepreneurial activities?
So I think the two things are social justice, social equality. I think that every person should have a vision, should have a dream, should be connected to that fire burning within themselves, regardless of how much money is in their parents' bank accounts. And I think that I learned that when you live in poverty and when you don't even have the knowledge that other people have, it's harder for you to dream big and to really believe that you are entitled to dream. So the first thing is social justice and social equality between people, between poor people and rich people, people that have more and people that have less. Look what happens in the United States of America right now. People feel that they weren't heard. So when people feel that they're not heard, they start to scream. We don't want to bring people to the point that all they have to do is scream because they're not heard. And of course, the second thing is women's leadership. I really do believe, now that we see the countries that deal with coronavirus, we see that the country that is in the best condition is New Zealand, with Jacinda Ardern, the most amazing leader in the world, which is a young mother and a young woman that I think what she does is she's looking at her country like a mother. And I think that in so many cases we're taught that we can be mothers or we can be dreamers, but we can't be both. And I think that every woman that really understands that we can bring the mother within us, we can bring the sister, we can bring each and every one of our feminine qualities into our entrepreneurships, into our dreams. I think that's something that can really make a difference in the world. And my last initiative is the Michal Sela hachathon. That was something really, really moving, because what we did is, me and my partner Aya, we worked with Lily Ben-Ami, who's the sister of a young woman who's my age, who has a baby 4 months younger than my baby, that was murdered, brutally murdered in her home. And what the Sela family did is to really, really use their grief and their sorrow as a fire, as an engine to change the world. So what we did is we looked at Israeli society and we said, let's create social justice and let's bring women to the table and let's do it all together. We brought the government of Israel and we brought the high-tech, the startup nation in Israel, to try to look into domestic violence and look and create solutions, technological solutions. So I think that's life-changing, and that's reality-changing. How do we bring everybody together? Startup nation, Israeli government, and the non-profits.
How do you see the Jewish community abroad in part of this social entrepreneur massive project of the state of Israel, and in particular what you're doing?
I think that when you're a good mother, you know that no matter where your kids are, they're still your kids. So if they're here in Israel or if they're abroad, they're still your kids. And I think that it's the power of women to look at our Jewish family as one big family. It's not a perfect family. It never was a perfect family. We always had our issues from the first Jewish family in the world. But we need to be always looking at our brothers and sisters across the ocean. They're still our brothers and sisters. And I think that during coronavirus, I think I felt it easier to connect because we suddenly had Zoom. We suddenly started to really connect with people through our screen, which wasn't a good thing before coronavirus. But now we really have an opportunity to use those technological tools in order to keep that family alive. And God bless. I wish we will always have this family kept alive.
That's amazing. So we hope that there'll be many more partnerships between communities abroad and Israel to make the Jewish people a light unto the nations, an Ola Goim, where we can in fact be not only the fire in us, but as Michal always says, be the change we want to see in the world.
I think it's Gandhi who said it, not me.
Said it, that's
I'm just
true.
quoting
Michal
like
quotes
crazy.
all the time, right? I apologize. Michal does quote it. It's been amazing. You are really inspirational in what you do and how you do, and you do with so much chen, with so much real just beauty, inner beauty that shines out. And we are so fortunate to be able to spend time with you and to really learn from you. So
thank you
so
for
much.
coming, and I'm waiting for you here in Israel, in Jerusalem. There's a lot of couch space for all the communities from around the world.
Thank you, Michal.